India's flag bearer at Pyeongchang 2018, as indeed India's flag bearer in winter sport altogether, is Luge pilot Shiva Keshavan. The four-time Asian Luge champion spoke exclusively to WION sports editor Digvijay Singh to set up the 2018 Winter Games.
The 2018 Winter Olympics are underway in Pyeongchang, South Korea. Now, the build-up to the Games has been controversial and chaotic with the situation regarding North Korea and Russia. I am joined now by the man dubbed the fastest Indian on ice. He's a proud Indian representative at the Winter Games for the last 2 decades. Shiva Keshavan is joining us from South Korea. Shiva, your 6th Olympic Games, but I'm sure every Olympics feels like a new experience. Do you feel like a baby yet again in the Games village?
Yeah, hello everyone. Absolutely, just as you said, the Olympic Games is such an overwhelming experience that it never gets old. Every time there's something new, there's new people, and it's just this electric atmosphere, with all the nations present and, everyone, interacting with each other and curious to know about each other. There's so much excitement, but at the same time, you have to concentrate on your event because it's a high stakes event. So, there's a lot going on. And, that's why it makes things sometimes even more difficult.
Yes, it is the Olympic Games after all. And you made your Olympic debut in 1998 at the Nagano Olympics. You were India's flag bearer then. You are the flag bearer of Indian winter sports even now. Now, Shiva, while personally it may be great, is it a telling comment that every 4 years it's only Shiva Keshavan and the odd other athlete who walks out behind the Indian flag?
Well, it definitely shows that we've made only marginal steps forward as far as winter sports is concerned. It's a little unfortunate because the talent is there, but it's not. You have to invest in talent because there's a really competitive field internationally, and that's not been happening consistently. So I hope that now, especially with my name being included in the tops, which is like a first ever for winter sports, it shows a kind of shift in policy towards winter sports, because for now it's been difficult every time going and, explaining what winter sports are, no federations are recognized, etc., etc. So, we need somebody who, takes this matter to heart and, makes a long-lasting, impression for the future of winter sports.
Okay, but having said that, Shiva, will it be a major relief to walk out behind the Indian flag at the opening ceremony? Last time I remember, you were an independent Olympic athlete.
Yeah, that definitely was, it was not a good experience. I mean, obviously, I was thankful for the IOC to have let me and other Indian athletes compete, albeit under the IOC flag. But, we are doing this for the pride, for the honor, for the privilege of representing our country. And, take that away and there's not much left, we're not professional athletes. So it's really great to have the flag flying again.
Yes, surely is a great moment. I've seen it at the Summer Olympics. But Shiva, you fought against the system. But why is it that no one really cares about winter sports in India? Is it because we do not have the climate to have a vibrant winter sports circuit? You don't even have a luge track in India.
Well, although, what you say is partly true, but, from the school times, we learned that, India is a country which has everything. You have the mountains, you have the Himalayas, you have the sea, you have the desert. So, it's everyone knows that we have 3,000 kilometers of mountain range in our country, and some of the best natural resources, in the world. So it's about having a sustainable plan, a long-term plan. Obviously, I understand some of the handicaps because since we don't have a tradition, since we've not had athletes in the past, it's difficult for someone with the know-how to come and help and build a sustainable program. So one of the things that I'm looking forward to after these games is doing just that, trying to use my expertise, my experience, to support and to help the Indian Olympic Association, the Sports Ministry, and hopefully if they can give a long-term commitment on this, it's not a problem to make a team and aim for the next 4 years, 8 years. We have Youth Olympics coming up. We have other Winter Olympics coming up. There's nothing really we lack. Not natural resources, not money, not talent, nothing. So it's just, the organization, administration.
Yes, lots that has to be done in the future, but let's talk present now, Shiva. Your last Olympic Games for you, you're going in once again as an Asian champion. How has the training been leading up to these Olympics?
Well, it's been a long season. I've been traveling for 5 months, going from the coldest parts of the world, so one coldest part to another, and there have been ups and downs in this season, as all seasons. The high point was the Asian Championships, of course. That was great. We also got to work on some equipment, which was not always successful. I had a few mishaps. My sled, I lost a couple of parts. I broke up a couple of parts. A little over 2 weeks ago, I got a couple of fractures on my hand that I'm recovering from, and the recovery time is still not, the minimum time is still not over. But thanks to some aggressive physiotherapy and help from medics from other teams, I hope that come next week I'll be able to get close to 100% on this.
Yes, Luge starts the Olympics in that sense. And Shiva, you have said that this is the last time you will be competing. Now, is that because you're fed up fighting to compete, or are you satisfied with what you have achieved? These are your 6th Olympics.
Well, I think it's a bit of both. Definitely, when I look back, there are a lot of things that I can be satisfied with. At the same time, there's also a lot of frustration at how slowly things have gone, or how unsustainable it is as a career. And when you reach a certain age, your responsibilities also increase. I have a family, and I can't do what I want anymore around the world. Traveling and competing for myself. So it is a bit of both. And also, apart from that, I've realized, it's the realization also that I need to be back to be the buffer between the administration and athletes, and try to get a program going, because nobody else can do it. So it's a combination of reasons. And anyway, I've done my bit. 20 years has been quite a bit on the road.
As you're speaking, I'm just seeing the visuals that are playing out. And when our viewers watch you at the Olympics on Saturday and Sunday, they will probably have their hearts in their mouths. Take us through a normal luge run. And how do you, perched on that narrow board, keep calm when you're going down at such speed?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a very exciting and adventurous sport. It's about a 1.5 kilometer long run, and it's over in just slightly over 50 seconds. So there's a lot packed into those 50 seconds. We reach speeds of approximately 140 on this track. I think, especially the way the ice conditions are now, we can see some of the track records broken. And there are some very technical combinations of curves that we haven't seen on luge tracks before. So the expectations are that a lot of people are going to be making mistakes. And so I'm just trying to keep it consistent and as boring as possible, so that so that all 4 runs go exactly the same way, and that way I can capitalize on any inconsistencies elsewhere. And then by the end of the day, I can just give my best and hope that that's enough to get me a best ever finish.
Yes, home and dry for your last time at the Olympics. But usually, Shiva, the build-up to the Olympics is all about the athletes and also, the prospect of new stars emerging and the old stars defending their turf. But this has been the most controversy-ridden build-up to an Olympic Games, hasn't it? First North Korea and then the Russian situation.
Well, it's times like these, these big international events, when you realize that there's sports is a lot more than just the competition. It has a big role in society, in diplomacy, and even in ideals and in principles. So so all these things play out before a big event like this comes. All the things you mentioned, the Koreas marching together, it's a huge step forward for diplomacy. And obviously, big decisions like these, they have varied opinions on both sides, whether it should be or whether it should not be. But I think if sport can play a larger role and bring our world together, then we should take that chance.
Yes, everyone's talking about the Olympic truce, Shiva, but the other country dominating the headlines is, of course, Russia. Now, you were at the Sochi Games in 2014. You competed there, and later you learned that there was state-sponsored doping. The IOC has now allowed Russian athletes to compete as neutrals. Is that a cop-out?
Well, it's a really complicated situation, and while on one hand there's been this flagrant doping scandal and especially institutionally sponsored, which rang many alarm bells because it goes against all the ideals of the Olympic movement. So it was up to the IOC to give a strong decision, and I think they've done that by banning Russia. But at the same time, just as was in our case in Sochi, at some point you have to see whether the athletes individually are at fault, and how do you protect athletes that are clean and that can prove that they've been clean. So I think in this way, the Russian athletes who are competing as independents over here, they had that way out, and this also kind of starts the roadmap for Russia's re-inclusion in the games. You leave a door open for them. If you play fair, if you abide by the rules, by the ideals, then we'll have you in our system again. So we'll see how this. We've not heard the last of this for sure, but I know there are some big decisions coming in the next few days. But ultimately, it remains the IOC's prerogative, to uphold the ideals and to uphold the Olympic Charter. So I think they're trying to do that.
Yes, the entire, thing is about protecting clean athletes, but there has been worldwide condemnation of the Court of Arbitration for Sports judgment exonerating 28 of the Russian athletes who were banned for life. Now, do you feel let down at any level as a soon-to-be six-time Olympian?
Well, I think in sport, the general opinion is that at any indication of cheating, there should be strict action, so that the precedent is set and people aren't pulled by this the allure of using performance enhancing substances. At the same time, there's the CAS is an independent body, and it's about the IOC principles to have athletes be able to defend themselves. Because sometimes it's easy. There are a lot of substances at times that one can even take for regular medication and not know, etc. So I don't want to speculate on the reasons, but the fact is that there is an independent body looking at it, and since they could not really find any evidence about these athletes doping, but just circumstantial evidence of their B samples not being there because it was removed by the institution, etc., that Court of Arbitration felt that they couldn't have definite proof of wrongdoing. At the same time, the IOC, even though that happened, the IOC has not extended invitation to these athletes to come here.
Okay, final question, Shiva, and this is all about you, your last Olympic Games. So what's the plan? Are you going to soak in the atmosphere when you finish up with Luge, knowing that this is it and the second innings of life begins now?
Well, it's hard for me, right now to think of life without Luge. So it'll have to be a gradual process, and I hope the Luge can remain in some way, whether I'm an athlete or I'm helping the sport in some other capacity. But yeah, I'm trying to soak in the atmosphere over here at the Olympic Village, because I know that that this might be my last time in such a venue. So it's a little bittersweet, for sure. And so I'm just trying to enjoy myself and just be relaxed, not get any pressure, and hopefully that even translates into the race. So I'm just living the moment right now. I've been incredibly lucky over these years to be where I've been, to represent India, and I just want to soak that in and make some good memories.
Okay, right, Shiva. For 2 decades, you've flown the Indian flag high at the Games on ice. We're going to hope you get to leave on a high in those cold confines in South Korea. Thank you for your time and the very best for the Olympic Games of 2018.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope people back home can follow the Olympic Games, either on Doordarshan or on the Olympic channel online.